Alright guys, welcome back to Urge. Moving on the subclass series into the next subclass, which is the Shadow Magic Sorcerer.
Oh, sneaky.
So, if you're new to the channel, to the subclass series, what we're going to do is we're going to go through all the abilities gained in this subclass and then rate it based on how it improves the base class in the categories of roleplay value, combat value, and overall class synergy. So, without any further ado, we're going to jump straight into it.
Level 1, you get two abilities. First is Eyes of the Dark. So you get dark vision with a range of 120 feet. Straightforward, nice. Because most times it's just maybe 60 feet, but not 120. Also, when you reach 3rd level, under the same ability, you learn the Darkness spell, which does not count against your Sorcerer spells known. If you choose to cast it by spending 2 sorcery points, you can see through that darkness spell, because normally if you cast darkness, no one sees through the magical darkness, but if you spend 2 extra sorcery points with it, you can see through it and let you do some really fun shenanigans. Also, level 1, you have Strength of the Grave. Basically, once per day, you can prevent yourself from getting knocked unconscious. You make a charisma saving throw with a DC of 5 plus the damage taken. On a success, you drop to 1 hit point. You cannot use this feature if you reduce to 0 hit points by a radiant damage ability or spell, or if you've been hit by a critical hit. After you do succeed on the saving throw, so if you fail it, you're unconscious anyway. But if you succeed, it's again you can't use it again until you finish a long rest.
Yeah, so it's kind of giving you like the half orc racial.
Right.
But if you were half orc and this, you're gonna get multiple uses.
Yeah, right. Do it again.
Potential.
Right.
Then at level 6 we have Hound of Ill Omen.
Ooh.
As a bonus action, you spend 3 sorcery points to magically summon a Hound of Ill Omen to target 1 creature you can see within 120 feet of you. The Hound uses Direwolf's statistics, which I believe is about 37 average HP. You're not going to really care too much about the attacks. It does have some attacks, but they're not going to be...
tactics is nice.
Right, it does have some uses, but that's not quite what you're using it for. You'll see here.
We'll get there.
The Hound is a medium instead of large. And is a monstrosity and not a beast.
Right.
It appears with a number of temporary hit points equal to half of your sorcerer level.
So not much.
It can move through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain. It takes 5 force damage if it ends its turn inside an object. And at the start of its turn, the Hound automatically knows its target's location. If the target was hidden, it is no longer hidden from the Hound.
Right.
It appears at a space, unoccupied space of your choice within 30 feet of the target. Roll initiative for the Hound on its turn. It can move only toward its target by the most direct route, and it can use its action only to attack its target. The Hound can make opportunity attacks, but only against its target. Additionally, the Hound is within 5 feet of the target. Target has disadvantage on saving throws against any spell you cast.
There's the winner we're looking for.
Yes. The Hound disappears if it's reduced to 0 hit points, if its target is reduced to 0 hit points, or after 5 minutes. So basically, it is giving you a free use of the heightened spell meta magic, essentially, because using 3 sorcery points and trying to give something disadvantage on spell saves, but it's only for you, not the next spell cast, whatever. But also, there's a chance that you're going to get more than 1 use out of it.
Correct.
For sure. Especially when something has about 40 health, it'll probably get at least 1 use out of it.
Yep.
If not, 2 or 3.
Sure. At 14, so you got a big gap between level 6 and level 14 on abilities. You get Shadow Walk. When you are in dim light or darkness, as a bonus action, you can magically teleport up to 120 feet to an unoccupied space that you can see that is also in dim light or darkness. For a sorcerer, this is, especially for a sorcerer caster that's very squishy, no armor classes, very little hit die, being able just to blink out of trouble, or just even for travel's sake, to be able to chase something down. Very, very nice. Of course, the only drawback would be if you're in full sunlight, this is useless. But when you've got any kind of shadows you have access to, that's a lot of mobility.
I think if you're playing the subclass, you're going to be very highly aware of any shadows anywhere near you. You're going to be aware of your allies and where their shadows are.
Like right before you go into any kind of like conversation with an NPC that may or may not lead into combat, your DM's like, all right, where's my shadows?
Right.
And also at level 18, you get Umbral Form. You can spend 6 sorcery points as a bonus action to magically transform yourself into a shadowy form. This form, you have resistance to all damage types except force and radiant. You can move through other creatures and objects as though they were difficult terrain, kind of like your Hound of Ill Omen can. You do take 5 damage if you end your turn inside an object. You remain in this form for 1 minute. Ends early if you're incapacitated, if you die, or if you dismiss it as a bonus action. So You can basically function like your normal self. This kind of reminds me of like a lot of the paladin subclass, like ultimate abilities. Kind of feels like that. Basically, make yourself a lot more survivable. Just taking less damage, again, helpful because you don't have any health or any armor.
Right.
Pretty sweet. And the fact that there's no limit to how much you can use this, except for just the 6 sorcery points. But again, with sorcerers,
I love 18.
You've got 18 sorcery points.
Yeah.
You use sorcery points
spell slots.
equal to your levels, which you could turn sorcery points into to spell slots into sorcery points. So you've got a lot of fluctuating flexibility.
Yes. So those are all the abilities gained in the subclass. So now we're going to move into the rating section.
Right.
And the first up is the roleplay value. Again, asterisk as always. When we're looking at the roleplay value, we're looking at the mechanics of the subclass. We're looking at interacting with NPCs, interacting with the world around you, non-combat scenarios, non-combat encounters, avoiding combat, things like that. We're already anticipating you, role-playing out your background, history, lore, fantasy, acting out your actions, all that fantastic stuff. But we're looking primarily at the mechanics here and avoiding combat type of scenarios.
What's in the book?
Correct. So, that being said, we have several abilities here. Eyes of the Dark is definitely RP use because you can cast darkness. Yep. And you can see through it if you use sorcery points. So, say you're trying to get into a building, you cast darkness on the guards, you grab your party members, make a chain link, and you say, follow me, because you can see through it, they can't see anything, and you run through it, right past the guards. They can hear you, but they can't see you. That is what it is.
They know you went some direction, but don't know where you're at.
Strength of the Grave, definitely combat-based. You're getting knocked unconscious, there's a chance of that, so that's not really an RP thing. Hound of Ill Omen, it's basically a tracking hound. It knows where something is. You do have to see it within 120 feet initially, but once it is seen and you summon it, it'll track it for 5 minutes, and it will follow it, and it can go through walls, it can do all that crap. So you can definitely follow after. It's a good way to chase something down, or, say you want to cast a charm person or a hold person on somebody. You summon your doggy next to him, and then you give disadvantage on the save. So it can definitely be used in RP scenarios there.
Sure.
Shadow Walk, being able to teleport is always a major thing, because, I want to climb up that mountain. Oh, there's a shadow behind that rock. Oh, I want to come. I'll keep going. Another shadow. Shadow. You're suddenly just climbing up a mountain for free, or you're looking into a shop, and you see through the blinds, and it's dark inside. You teleport inside it. It's pretty crazy. So, as long as you can see in there, and you have 120 foot dark vision, which is pretty crazy, too. Mm-hmm. So you can see really far in the dark. And even if you want, this is the thing, too, is even if you pick a race that has dark vision, this is going to extend it out, because 120 feet is more than...
no race is getting that much base dark vision.
So, that being said, Shadow Walk definitely has RP potential. Umbral Form has RP potential, but it's more on the niche side, especially because it uses 6 sorcery points, so it's kind of like a last-ditch effort kind of thing. If you need to do it, you can, because you can pass through objects. Right. So say someone disappears somehow, you suddenly do your bonus action, do this, you dash, through the ground or whatever. I mean, you can move through objects as if it were difficult terrain, so you can do all that and chase after stuff, and you take reduced damage while doing so. So definitely lots of RP potential. Some of it a little bit more on the niche side. Yeah. So we went with a 4 out of 5 on the RP side. Still very, very solid, well-rounded, I think. But lots of uses on the RP side, but nothing crazy, and sometimes a little bit niche.
Yeah. That flavor kind of rolls over to the combat side as well. 120 foot dark vision is always good because you'll never be without being able to see what's going on. The fact that you can drop a darkness spell and see through it can be helpful because you can lock yourself in there with maybe there's a big melee guy trying to come smash you. Well, if you make it dark in there, he can't see you. Just back up 10 feet. He has no idea where you're at. You can start lighting him up because you can see him just fine.
Yeah, or if you're in light and you cast darkness, then you can bonus action get out of there. Do another shadow that you can see.
That's right. Hound of Ill Omen, kind of a weaker version of a Conjure Animals as far as what the creature can do itself. Not bad as far as just helping you do extra damage. It's never a bad thing. But the big thing, helpful combat-wise, there is definitely giving the target disadvantage on a saving throw against your spells. And like Jameson said, it's kind of replaces heightened spell for you. Right. You have to worry about taking that as a meta magic, so it gives you free reign to not pick that and pick something else on your meta magic choices. I believe you get 4, if I remember off the top of my head, over the course of all your level ups. I know you get 2 early on. I think you get 2 more later. Again, that just frees you up your extra choice for you to worry about taking heightened spell for that. Due to that, Shadow Walk, as it helps with RP travel, it definitely helps on combat, being able to blink in and out of trouble is very efficiently without having to spend a spell slot. Most of the time, you're going to have to Dimension Door or Misty Step to get out of there.
Another thing some people don't know is when you teleport, it doesn't have provoke opportunity attacks.
Correct.
So that's another.
Yeah, so you're like, normally you're like, you got to like run out of there and just risk getting beat to death if you get swarmed. Not with this. It's just your bonus action too.
Right.
So you can bonus action and still cast a spell, still do whatever else you want to do with your main action.
Right.
Finally, of course, Umbral Form is mostly a combat-based thing anyway. Just letting you take reduced damage for resistance to almost all damage. And the main thing we talked about before we started with this thing is that for non-player characters, both Radiant and Force damage would fall under the rare side of damage. If you run into a lot of casters, most of it it's going to be fire damage, ice damage. Lightning damage, even necrotic damage before you run into Radiant and
so you start getting a high level spellcaster.
Force stuff.
Some crazy stuff.
But so we also went with a 4 out of 5 here as well. Just because they're really the only reason why it's not higher is because there are some limitations, like with Shadow Walk. If you are out middle of the day, you can't use that ability. With Eyes of the Dark, you can spend a darkness spell to give access to it if you spend a spell there. And really the only other thing kind of holding back for me was this doesn't give you any kind of extra direct offensive help besides just
the doggy.
Besides doggy giving them disadvantage on a spell.
Yeah.
But overall it gives you extra usage for your sorcery points and helps you with survivability and do some things more efficiently. So
I would say it's more like survivability utility.
Yes.
And there's like the doggy for a little bit of spell usage buffing.
Enhancement almost, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But definitely as a squishy person, and survivability is pretty solid.
Sure.
Then lastly, we have the overall class synergy. Kind of going in the same boat here. With sorcerers, the only main thing that they have to work with synergy-wise is their meta magic. Just because that's all they get. They're getting ability score increases, they're getting meta magic, and you're getting increased spells.
That's it.
So, I mean, that's what you are as a sorcerer. It is what it is. But Hunterville Omen is going to take the place. It lets you basically get a free meta magic option that you wouldn't have to otherwise take. It's going to fulfill the same role as Heightened Spell would, but you can be a little bit more diverse in your choices there, so that's going to help there. You're getting extra uses of sorcery points, being able to cast darkness and see through it can be a big deal, definitely in certain circumstances. Being able to teleport around the battlefield is massive as well. And survivability with Strength of the Grave is a great, but when you're going to get knocked unconscious and then you don't, it can be a game changer.
Sure.
And then Umbral Form, if you have Umbral Form with Strength of the Grave, I mean, it's going to significantly reduce the damage that you're taking, which is going to reduce the save as well because you're taking half.
Correct.
So that being said, it's pretty well rounded in the synergy department, getting multiple options for sorcery points, being mobility around the battlefield, some survivability, and giving disadvantage to spells or to targets for your spells. So I went with a 4 as well on the class synergy. So pretty well rounded all around. Definitely solid. Well made. I think this is a very well made subclass. It's not. I wouldn't say it's overpowered. By any means. But it definitely picks a role and picks a theme and really plays into it heavily. I think this is a really well themed subclass as well.
Yeah.
Just because, Shadow Magic. You can Shadow Walk and turn into Shadow and summon Shadow Beasts and all that good stuff.
I am the night.
There you go. But guys, that's going to wrap it up for this one. So if you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so our new videos are coming out. Please, if you've been watching our videos and haven't been subscribing, please consider doing that.
Push the button.
I'm putting on here, we're only getting about 11 or 12% of our viewers are actually subscribed per minutes on the analytics side of things. That's the only statistic we can really use for that.
Yep.
So that means a lot of you are watching and not subscribing. So if you can do that, that would be great. It really helps support us.
It's a button.
We're going to be coming out with some more ways that you can support us on the channel. We're going to have links below for if you want to purchase any books that'll help support us. I'll come up with a video and probably explain a bit how those links work and everything. But basically, click the link. You buy something within a day of when you clicked on the link, and we'll get credit for the purchase. And it'll help support the channel and help us make more content. And we'll have some more stuff coming to you soon as well, so stay tuned for that. But as always, guys, thanks for watching.